On the last episode of BrianTheBlue Game Reviews, after going trick-or-treating and meeting some interesting characters, Brian suddenly found himself with a copy of Altered Beast. That review was a long time coming, but when it was over, a figure challenged him to another corny battle, and with the help of his brother, the guy was easily defeated, and this is where we carry on.
Sonic Labyrinth. Do I sleepwalk, or does somebody do this while I'm sleeping? Need to lock my door more often. Sonic Labyrinth for the Sega Game Gear.
It's 1989. The war between Nintendo and Sega was about to take shape, with Sega releasing their 16-bit Genesis on August 14th, firing the first shots with their aggressive ad campaign and superior system at the time. While it would take Nintendo 2 years to respond on that front, another front was coming to blows. On July 31st, the Big N released the Game Boy, a revolution in handheld gaming despite its flaws, which Sega wanted to capitalize on with their own portable system. And in April of 1991, they gave gamers the tools to one-up the fanboys in the Game Gear, which had a color and backlit screen and could play games on par to the Sega Master System. I mean, sure, Atari beat them first in some departments, but nobody cared about them and their cat fetish. It was all about the rivalry between the two big boys. This little-known war was fought with weird accessories, but more importantly with games. Of course, their mascots would get plenty of representation. Many fondly remember Mario's handheld titles, but some may not remember Sonic's portable outings, and there were lots of them, this being one of his later. Sonic Labyrinth.
This game was released in November of 1995 to a mixed to semi-positive response then, but it gets more of a negative reception now, and I have one question to that. Why? Sure, it isn't your typical Sonic game, spoiler alert, it's an action puzzler, but I played it on and off and thought it was a fun and unique game, and that's coming from a guy who doesn't usually like what this game has to offer, and we'll get to those in due time. Christ, Mario becomes a doctor and his game is rated higher, for good reason, I'll give you that, but I still don't understand why this game is hated. My guess would be its theme and weird plot, or people never really took the time to truly see what this game is about. And that's where I come into play, so let's take a better look at Sonic Labyrinth.
So about that plot, Dr. Robotnik has figured out the best way to defeat Sonic is to take away his speed. So he comes up with the ingenious idea to swap his shoes with boots that'll slow him down, and the only way Sonic can get them off is to retrieve the Chaos Emeralds in Robotnik's Super Labyrinth.
It's shit like this you can only get on a manual, but wannabe know-it-alls like us are the reason why they don't exist on modern consoles. I'm not the only one to blame.
You'll probably notice that I'm not showing the Game Gear screen like my last ill-fated review attempt. I'm instead playing with a Retron 5 with the 3-in-1 adapter. It's amazing what you can find in the garbage. Though Robotnik has taken Sonic's ability to go fast, he neglected to remember the Super Spin Dash. The goal of the game, as said, is to go through Robotnik's Labyrinth in order to get the emeralds, so Sonic can take off his boots and go fast again.
There's a plot hole somewhere, but I can't put my finger on it.
I can best compare this game to Marble Madness in look, Sonic 3D Blast with the isometrics, and Super Monkey Ball with its style of gameplay. From the start of a zone stage, you need to find 3 keys that'll unlock the goal. They're usually hidden all around the stage, or an enemy might have it. You just have to spin dash your way around the map, which is timed, by the way, so you gotta find the keys and make it out of the stage in good time. More time can be added when you get keys or destroy enemies, so it may be best to go fast in whatever speed you desire. The first zone, Labyrinth in the Sky, is a very simple starting place to get you used to how this game works. I mean, you only use the D-pad and one of the buttons, as they both operate the same way. The stages are easy, probably because I played them too often and know where everything is, including power-up locations. Power-ups are a thing, and they're the typical ones you'd find in a Sonic game, as well as new ones like Sneaker Booster, 1-Up. The Hourglass adds more time on the clock, then you also have the Mystery Item and Invincibility.
Jeez, is it too late for a seizure warning? Probably so, as I'm actually convulsing on the floor.
After 3 stages, you'll fight a boss. It starts with you rolling down a hill full of rings, and it's one of the only times you see those in the game. And it's the best way to earn an extra life and an added layer of protection before fighting an end boss. They'll usually start with a small attack, in this case being the small versions of the Big Badnik. None of these enemies have a proper name, but all you have to remember is to dodge his attacks and spin dash him when you see an opening like so. If you get hit, there'll be other rings on the stage that you can collect, but you should be able to defeat him, grab a Chaos Emerald, collect bonus points, and move on. I don't see what the point of points are in this game. Maybe for completion? We'll see. Now on to the sea, the blue blur's worst nightmare. Plenty of new mechanics are introduced, like on the first stage you'll be exploring the map with cannons, then the next you'll be finding yourself around doors, then the next seeing if the edges will drop you off to the platform you want. It's a mix that'll ramp things up quick, not in difficulty per se, but more in challenging you in how to progress and finish a stage. I remember getting easily lost my first time in the first stage. The maps are a little bigger too, so it'll take a bit to figure out where to go. The second stage is fine, introduces you to the doors that lead to any which way. It'll be a gimmick you see come up later in the game. Oh, and don't go into that muck, as it's the fastest way for time to be taken away. The third level is straightforward for the most part, but it leaves one mystery in this bonus room. There's a switch in this stage as well that I assume unlocks it, but I'm not sure how to get it. We'll come back to it later.
I'm sure you can agree that so far, this game is simple, and that's what I like about it, as in my eyes it works just fine, even for a Sonic game.
I've said in the past somewhere that I don't like isometric games, with a few exceptions, but Sega's usually the culprit to my disdain with the likes of Zaxxon or 3D Blast. With that Sonic game, it hasn't really aged well, and its controls when you go fast is ass. In Labyrinth, you choose when you want to go fast, and being this colorful and in 8-bit makes it look good and stand out.
I don't usually defend graphics over controls, but you can't deny this comparison, and Sonic's best days were in 2D than 3D. Can't deny that either.
Next boss was as easy as the last, even if I got hit right off the bat. You just gotta hit this Crab Badnik when he leaves himself open, easy victory, and easy Chaos Emerald. Third zone is in the factory. It gets a little crafty, which makes sense given the setting, but what they make in this factory is beyond me. You got electric bolts and green pads that'll slow you down, along with a couple movable platforms that can transport you across to other parts of the map, but the biggest addition to get you around the stage would have to be these teleportation pads. You know, with all this spinning and turning, it's amazing the Hedgehog doesn't puke at any point. The second stage in Zone 3 does more with the moving platforms and teleporting. I'd recommend going slow, as you don't want to accidentally fall off by bouncing on one of those pinball bumpers.
They really loved Spinball, where Sonic does even more spinning. Hope to get to that game one day.
The third stage is where I started to run into trouble. I was able to find 2 of the keys but couldn't find the third. I figured it was across the way, but the platform doesn't transport you back, it just explodes. If you fall off a stage or get hit without key protection or let the timer reach 0, you'll lose a life. Lose all your lives and it'll be game over, but in my experience it'll be hard to lose a life unless you're being reckless. You're more than likely to lose one when fighting a boss, which is what I did for the next as I'd never been this far before, but before that we had to figure out where the other key was. This was the first of only 2 times I had to look at a guide, and it turns out there's a hidden moving platform at the very bottom edge that'll take you to a warp. That takes a lot of patience to figure that out, and I blame graphical limitations for not showing it sooner. Anyway, this spiky badnik is as easy as the rest. Just dodge his spiked front and spin dash his behind for another easy Chaos Emerald. Now to the 4th and final zone, taking place in a castle. Now this is where the difficulty can change in an instant, depending on how well you've been paying attention. Stage 1 was a breeze that I pretty much spun by. Stage 2 brought back the doors and a different teleportation pad, and it was easy to get around. Honestly, I think I fluked my way through it, and when you reach the end, there's a random clock that'll go off.
Okay.
If you thought those were just as easy as the rest, then you'll be thrown off your game at stage 3. The door theme is turned up to the extreme. There's like so many doors that you can easily get lost or keep going round and round the map, and there's plenty of it. If you don't believe me, look at this overview from the guide I used. There's over 20 doors, and a few of them don't take you to the same place. This was the second and last time I used a guide, and can you blame me? It was honestly a real sour note to nearly end the game on, but we can't forget that we have an Eggman to fight. I should mention that the ring slope will get potentially more hazardous as you get farther. There's crap that'll knock out all the rings you got. I learned that the hard way on the 3rd boss. And the ring patterns will be different, but you can memorize them in repeat playthroughs.
What's that? You didn't want to play this game again? You didn't want to even touch this game in the first place? You're an adult on the internet that has no good taste in gaming? I know my comment section.
So the last boss in Robotnik, you won't believe, isn't hard at all. He only has 1 attack, and that's attempting to drop shit from above you. You just have to wait until he drops down so you can land a blow or 2. He does have a second phase, but it doesn't do anything to intensify the dull final fight. So with that being said, Robotnik runs off, dropping another emerald as we exit this place. We get a congratulatory statement, immediately followed by a try again message of not being perfect.
Well, what the hell did I miss? This game is so straightforward, I couldn't have possibly missed anything. It must have been that damn bonus room. Now I'm curious.
We'll get to that in a little bit, but that's how you play the whole damn game. And I still don't understand why people hate it. Sure, it doesn't do exactly what Sonic does, but it isn't meant to. You still go fast in a different way, and it's very easy to figure things out. Half of this game I knew, the rest I could solve in a matter of moments, minus 2 levels, but out of 16, I'll take those stats. Still, I'm a bit confused though I didn't do everything. I still received 5 stars, whatever that means.
Well, am I perfect or not, Sega? Make up your mind. I know the answer, and again, so does the comment section.
The music was composed by Atsuko Iwanaga, and as much as I like to praise Sonic tunes, these are just fine. They're not bad, they're just nothing really special. They set the tone of the stage and do nothing more. They're just there. With the few tracks that there are, none of them provoke a real catchy beat of a Green Hill Zone, Chemical Plant Zone, or Toxic Caves. Sonic games usually have some fantastic tunes, but I think this one is lacking. But maybe I should listen to it a little more.
It'd be better than whatever the hell this is about.
Well, I thought I'd just roll in this time around.
There isn't a lot to highlight, so we'll go over this real quick. Before you start a game, you can change a few things like the number of lives you want to start out with, how you want the control style to be. You even have the sound test sandwiched in between if you want to find your favorite track or sound. You can also try Time Attack, which you replay one of the first levels in the Labyrinth in the Sky, and see if you can set a best time for yourself. Out of 3 tries, my best was 21 seconds.
My first world record, as nobody is sad enough to claim that. What's the phone number to Guinness?
It's ideal for speedrunners, but not really my thing. What is, though, is the hidden secrets. For example, if you input this D-pad combination on the title screen, you'll see the word select pop up in cursive. This signifies that you can select any stage in the game you want, which is what we'll do to go back to the Labyrinth in the Sea where that bonus room was. At the end of the credits, the game was so gracious to let me know this secret command, and when you do it in the canon, you'll be able to reach this platform with a button that was unreachable before, which will grant you access to the bonus room where you gotta collect rings in order to get an additional Chaos Emerald and get that perfect completion bonus.
I mean, I'm glad they tell you eventually, but after the fact is weird. It's no Luigi from New Super Mario. Where is Tails anyway? Still on his adventure? Oh wait, that'd be cheating. Look at me trying to rationalize a Sonic game's logic. Somebody hire me to write a competent story. I'd be better than whatever this is.
I have no idea how many units this game sold, but as I said, this game received a mixed response from gamers and critics over the years. I imagine it didn't do too well as it came out during the latter years of the Game Gear's life, when it was very much overshadowed by Nintendo, playing it loud with the Game Boy. Sega's Game Gear would be discontinued around 97 in its initial run. It was brought back briefly in 2000 by Majesco, but that didn't stick around for long. Sonic Labyrinth, meanwhile, has reappeared in a few different ways over the last 2 decades, but it's mainly been one of those Sonic games everybody has forgotten about.
So, what is my rate to play? I know the Game Gear isn't the most popular handheld out there, having notable faults on the hardware, especially these days, but software is what makes a system, and nobody talks about that either. I'd like to imagine there's a treasure trove of unique titles just waiting to be rediscovered, and if you ever find yourself collecting for this, be sure to add this game to your list.
Sometimes the critical response acts more like a red herring, and a game should just be played in order to come to your own conclusion. And that's what I implore you to do with this game. Sonic Labyrinth is a fun game. To me, it's interesting, different in a good way, and reminds me a lot of another Sega property that would be coming in a few years. You may not think Sonic goes well with a handheld, but there have been some stellar releases in the past, even on the Game Gear too. I'm not comparing this game to them though, as it has its own flaws. I think the game is a little too short to my liking, and it isn't fleshed out all the way with its concept. There's a lot more you could have done here. And the level design on a few of them go from 0 to 88 so fast you get thrown for a loop with how quickly it got hard.
Not like that, you weirdos.
But those are just small gripes that won't fully take away from the potential enjoyment you can have. It's a decent puzzler that you should grab. Might save some money down the road, especially if it's in the box. And trust me, it's not as bad as others make it seem.
To conclude, I give this game a play rate of... gotta play.
But that's only my opinion. If you have your own thoughts, leave a comment. If you like what you see, leave a like. If you think others would enjoy this, share it around the web. And if you want to see more, subscribe. Anyway, this has been BrianTheBlue Game Reviews, Sonic Labyrinth for the Game Gear. Brian here, want to quickly say thanks for watching this game review, as this and other content wouldn't be possible without you. I appreciate anyone and everyone who watches my videos from all across the world, but it alarms me that over 80% of viewers aren't subscribed to the channel. So I'd like to reiterate and ask you to subscribe as well as ringing the bell to stay notified. That way you can stay up to date with future content that'll appear on the Jacobians channel. Presently I put out new quick views and current calamities every month, and my brother Alex has a brand new show all about wrestling games called WrestleBound. You might want to stick around as we're only getting started. You can also find me on a couple of other channels. I run the Starfighters Arcade channel, where we take a look at the history of our machines on the floor as well as show you our new arrivals, and on Millennial X, where me, arcade buddies, and family get into shenanigans playing, hunting, and reviewing games. If you want to explore more content, these would be the first places to go. That's all the time I got, but be sure to click the icon now if you want to watch the previous or upcoming episodes of Game Reviews.